What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and there has been a fair share of questions surrounding Bob Saget's death. One of the main questions everyone was asking is why didn't Bob Saget stay in Jacksonville, Florida that night? As most of you all probably already know, Bob Saget had his last stand-up set in Jacksonville, but instead of staying in Jacksonville, he chose to travel late at night at that, all the way to Orlando, over an hour and a half away to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Orlando. So people have been wondering, why didn't he just stay in Jacksonville, especially because it was so late. And then there was also a lot of people wondering, is there a possibility that somewhere along the way, Bob Saget sustained these injuries? Meaning that on the trip from Jacksonville to Orlando, did Bob Saget hit his head, get in some type of little car accident or something, and sustain these injuries along the way? And I have been firm in my belief that that is not the case. Because judging by the extent of his injuries, there is no way possible that he would have been able to operate a vehicle, let alone drive over an hour and a half away on the highway. I just don't think that is possible. Looking at the amount of damage that was done to the back of his head, I just don't think it was possible that he would operate a vehicle for an hour and a half, even 20 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't think he would have made it out of a driveway with the amount of damage that he had to the back of his head, let alone, drive all the way to Orlando, Florida. So I've been firm in my belief that whatever happened to Bob Saget had to have happened to him at the hotel. But there was no evidence to confirm that. Let's just say that, because as far as we know, we didn't really get a good look at Bob Saget, although we did know that once he got back to the hotel room that he was active on social media. He did talk to a few people. So that let us know right there that he was at least, somewhat okay, especially to post this big social media post. So all of that led me to believe that something had to have happened to him at the hotel. But now I think we got confirmation that whatever happened to him at the hotel, because it appears that Bob Saget was actually seen smiling hours before his death in a final photo that he took with a fan outside of the Ritz-Carlton. Bob Saget appeared to be in good spirits just hours before his unexpected death at the Orlando Ritz-Carlton in January, according to a fan photo taken outside of the hotel. Hotel valet Orlando Nunez, his name's Orlando and he lives in Orlando, but Hotel valet Orlando Nunez says he met the Full House actor as he returned from a gig over 2 hours away. So actually check that, it wasn't over an hour and a half away, over 2 hours away. Nunez asked for a photo, and despite the late hour, Saget obliged. So Saget in this photo looks like he is perfectly fine to me, although be it he is probably kind of tired. He's been working all day. This had to be, pretty late at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, I would assume, something around there. So he looks kind of tired, but you can tell, he doesn't have the bruising under the eyes. This isn't a guy who has life-threatening injuries to his skull. You can obviously tell that. And like the guy said, he was in good spirits. And even despite it being late, he was willing to talk to this guy and take a photo with him. After snapping the pic, the pair spoke for a few minutes before Saget made his way to his room and Nunez parked his car. Nunez says that the stand-up comedian had no visible injuries during their meeting and that his car was in good shape, ruling out any possibilities of a car accident. So right there, if you were thinking that maybe he got in a little fender bender, maybe hit his head on a steering wheel or on the back of his seat, I don't know, that's ruled out. No car accident, no visible damages to his car. And not only did he take a picture with this guy, he talked to him for a few minutes and he seemed to be not only in good spirits, but he was talking. There was no slurring of words. He seemed like he was fully aware of everything that was going on. So there was no signs that he was injured in any way. He was just a perfectly healthy Bob Saget at the time. I didn't see any injuries. He didn't seem hurt. He wasn't slurring his words. He was exactly as I remembered while watching him on the TV as a child, Nunez told authorities. Isn't that crazy? So, like I just stated, no slurring of his words. He was perfectly alert. He was nice, and from the way Nunez described him, he was just as how he watched him on TV as a child. Now, isn't that a nice experience? Because a lot of times celebrities are assholes when you meet them, and at least he had a good experience. I would think that Bob Saget would be happy that one of the last experiences that a fan had with him was described as, oh, it was just like when I used to watch him on TV as a child. So I think that was nice. But the photo also suggests that Saget had no bruising upon his arrival. Although when they found his body unresponsive, there was bruising under his eyes. So there was no bruising under his eyes in the photo or anything. So I think this right here, albeit it's not a big piece of evidence because the details surrounding his death are so secretive, this is about the only evidence we're probably going to get that Bob Saget was okay entering into this hotel room. Nothing happened to Bob Saget prior to him getting to this hotel. Whatever happened to him in the hotel room, which is what I've believed this entire time. And we'll probably never get to find out what happened to him in the hotel room because the judge announced that he is permanently blocking all of the details from the autopsy from coming out. And I already made a video about that, giving you my thoughts about that. And I just think that is extremely, extremely weird. It's extremely shady. And seeing as literal hours before Bob Saget supposedly died from falling and hitting his head on a carpet, he looks perfectly fine. So we know that he took this trip over 2 hours to get to the hotel. He talked to this fan for a few minutes, took a photo with him, and then he went upstairs to his hotel room, supposedly talked to his wife. I think he maybe texted a few other people, and he posted one last post on social media. And that was the last that we will ever hear from Bob Saget. We will never get the details from his autopsy or from his death because they are all permanently blocked for some unapparent reason that we will never find out about. So all we can do is assume that Bob Saget was taken out. I don't care what anyone says. I don't think there's no convincing me at this point that he wasn't taken out. I was holding out. Now, of course, I stated a dozen times that I think that there was no possibility that Bob Saget injured himself on the way to the hotel. But I was holding out like maybe possibly something happened. You know, maybe something happened in the car along the way. But seeing this last photo of him and hearing that he was totally alert and just totally normal and everything was just normal, you know, that just kind of seals the deal for me. I just don't believe that Bob Saget accidentally fell and hit his head and killed himself in a hotel room, especially looking at the injuries. I can't buy that story. I can't buy that story. And seeing that he is just in perfect health, smiling, happy, and charming to his fans right before he passed away, it lets you know that nothing happened to him along the way there. It's just really weird to me. It's so weird to me because if I were the family, I would want people to be at ease with Bob Saget's death. Bob Saget is known the world over. Some people hate him, some people love him. Regardless of how you feel about him, though, I've noticed that people are curious about his death and the details surrounding his death. I see tons of people in my comment section that absolutely despise Bob Saget, but at the end of the day still want to know what really happened to him. And even those people don't allow their disdain for Bob Saget to block their vision and make them, not care about what's going on here. Even they can sense that there's something shady going on here. And they don't even like Bob Saget. So I think that if I were the family, I would want people to be at ease, to know what happened here, because it's a very weird situation. And even Let's say it was an accident. Hammer that home so people will take their own slips and falls more seriously. I know that after looking into this case, I will never hit my head the same way again. Never. A couple of nights ago, I hit my head on the headboard. It wasn't too hard, but I couldn't even sleep because I was like, man, I hope I don't get Bob Sageted. Do I need to call 911? But then I was like, wait, Bob Saget didn't die from getting his head hit on the headboard. He obviously got assassinated by the Illuminati. I'm just joking. I'm just joking about that part. But yeah, I think that there's a lot to learn from this case. And if there's nothing shady here, then why not just hammer that home? Let the details come out. No one's asking for the photos of Bob Saget. No one's asking for videos of Bob Saget laying dead in his hotel bed. No one wants that. We just want the details about his death, and we want to understand why you blocked them in the first place. Why did you block him in the first place? Because that just made everything look worse. Because as soon as people started asking questions, it's like, oh, we got to block all of these details from coming out. And that, you're just setting yourself up for failure. If you don't want people getting into your business and stuff, they should have just let everything happen naturally. I guarantee you that people wouldn't be as curious about this case and as invested in this case if they weren't so shady about releasing the information. If everything just happened naturally, people would be over it by now. And even if something shady did happen, half the people are already, distracted by other things that they wouldn't care. It's the fact that y'all started, y'all rang the alarm by blocking the details from coming out. And by saying that, oh, he fell and he must have hit his head on the headboard. And then we had to come to, find out that, damn, the headboard's padded. And then, it was just so much here that, if anything, they say they want to be secretive and they don't want details to get out and they just want their privacy. If anything, they ruined their privacy by making things so secretive. Because if things weren't secretive, if there wasn't a block on these records, it would have come out, people would have looked through it, and it would have been over by now. People wouldn't even be worried about it anymore. But because they made it so secretive, they rang the alarm to make people start questioning, what the hell is really going on here? Because when you're not transparent, people are going to start asking questions, especially in this day and age when there's so much shady shit going on. People are definitely going to start asking questions. So I think they set themselves up for failure in many ways. But at the very least, all of us now know, I think this photo and from what this guy said about his conversation with Bob Saget, that just deads any possibility. Any possibility. I know most of us didn't believe that something happened on the trip from Jacksonville to Orlando, but I think this kills any possibility of any of that being possibly true. And now we're definitely zoned in on this happened at the hotel room. This happened at the hotel room, 100% fact. And, we wouldn't even have to be putting these pieces together if they would just release some freaking details, but they won't. So, hey, I know that I'm going to look through this final report. The final report from his death came out. It's not the final entire autopsy report. It's probably going to be a bunch of bogus BS, but I will break it down. I'll react to all of that in one of my next videos. But for now, I want to hear your thoughts about this. What do you think about this last photo? Do you think this is a key indicator that Bob Saget was okay until he made it to this hotel? Let me know your thoughts about all of that down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. If you want to support the channel, I'll have my Cash App below, or you can become a channel member today. But as always, find some time out of your day to go watch a movie.